Welcome back, hyenas. Today we're talking about slop. Recently I've been recommended a couple of different videos by a number of different creators, all addressing the issue of slop content on YouTube. Slop content is a bit of an umbrella term with a number of different definitions depending on who you ask, but for the most part it's used to describe low effort, quickly edited, poorly researched, full of misinformation videos that are designed to be released simply to take advantage of the fact that people will click on them without any real effort to provide any value to the viewer. I'm sure a number of creators come to mind when you think of slop content. Pyrocynical second channel, Moist Critical talking about whatever tweet he saw that was interesting, More Pegasus releasing 30 plus videos all talking about the drama around Mr. Beast, SumitoMedia uploading nothing but videos about memes for the better part of 6 years. Wait, am I slop content?
That's a lot of nuts!
A couple weeks ago, I was recommended a number of different channels all related to each other talking about YouTube slop content in one way or another, and according to the fact that they have several 100,000 views at this point, it seems as though this has been an ongoing conversation that I've missed out on until recently, and so I decided to take a bit of a dive into it. The first video I watched was titled YouTube Has a Slop Problem by Raymundo2112, which was later deleted alongside a community post that stated that he didn't feel like it was up to his standards, and was then re-uploaded with a bit of an extended cut with some additional thoughts and some interviews with some of the people that he was critiquing in the video. But the overall consensus was that YouTube was being plagued with a number of low-effort, drama, and clickbaity videos that didn't take a ton of time or research to provide value into the video and were often riddled with a ton of misinformation, and they were getting so many views that it felt like they were overtaking YouTube, and that was overall bad. The second video I watched was the YouTube slop economy by a YouTuber by the name of Terror, which covers a lot of the same points and uses sort of like old school Emp Lemon style editing and commentary, but really sort of focuses specifically on Pyrocynical's second channel, Pyro Live, and harps on the fact that Pyrocynical is spending so much time making the slop content and making so much money from it that it feels almost like a missed opportunity that somebody with the talent to make the lengthy video essays, well-documented, well-produced, high-production, high-research video game essays that he does on his main channel, that somebody like this would spend so much time making slop feels like a bad thing. And then the third video I watched was by FlazeFire titled The X Situation Is Why, also kind of harping on Pyrocynical's title scheming on his second channel, but basically talks about this same slop economy of people uploading videos that overall don't provide any value and won't even matter in a week from now, simply because it's the trend of the day and is designed to get nothing but easy clicks without actually saying anything in the video itself. All of these videos make a lot of different points and have varying definitions of what they consider slop, some more specific and focused towards a creator or a group of creators than others, but they all share a similar message in the end, which is that YouTube has an influx of low production, low effort videos that are garnering millions of views, and this is overall a bad thing. With big creators being rewarded for making videos that only require 10% of the research and effort to garner 500% of the views simply if the title or the topic of the video is about how the Logan Paul situation is so crazy, it results in a situation where videos overall end up worse and worse, and if people continue to watch these videos, then it overall turns into a dropping of the bar of standard for what is considered a video worth getting a million views on YouTube. The general solution that most of these guys provide is simply to not watch them, with the idea being that if less people watch these videos, they will end up less profitable, and then these creators will be forced to make higher quality, more researched, better videos, and then overall YouTube will be a better place for watching. I have some thoughts about this. Point one, I don't disagree with a good chunk of what they're critiquing here. I think there is quite a bit of content on the internet in general that absolutely should be labeled as slop, and you should absolutely consider to be a waste of your time overall. Specifically videos where the entirety of the script is written by ChatGPT, where the entirety of what's on screen as the video is designed by AI, or even any video that does have nice editing and a face cam, but is essentially just the script of reading through the Wikipedia article of a topic. None of these are really worthwhile. I have seen TikToks of people taking all the top comments on a thread from Reddit, running that through ChatGPT to automate a script, throwing that into an AI voice generator to automate a voice reading it out, and then using another piece of AI software to throw up some Subway Surfers or some Minecraft parkour and stick together a video that is basically 100% generated by a computer doing all of the work? I would like to think that this sort of content is being made by like a 14-year-old in Malaysia just using his phone and a bunch of apps to the best of his ability to make some nickels to buy himself a new bike. But the reality is that there is so much of this content that it is almost definitely just generated by people looking to make the lowest tier content possible to get as many views, to garner as much money in a way that they can upload 50 of these things a day. And I think it goes without saying that it doesn't make sense for you to expect me to watch something that you didn't even take the time to make, really. Second point that is in a ton of these videos is that a lot of these videos get things wrong. And obviously I don't want to push back on this too much because misinformation is bad and you should get things right when you can. I'm gonna give these guys the benefit of the doubt and assume that they specifically mean instances where these drama commentary channels will report on something that is very easily proven to be the opposite of what they say. They're getting things wrong that they could have gotten right if they spent a little bit more time doing any level of research. When they're uploading as often as they are, it turns into a situation where if you get even just one thing wrong in every one of your videos, you very quickly end up with a catalog of huge amounts of misinformation because you now have 50 videos that all have something that's a little bit not true. But I do want to push back on this a little bit simply because it is the internet. And I feel like people need to keep in mind that, like, we're not in a situation where everything is going to have a perfect source. A lot of the time when you're reporting on a situation where somebody releases a Google document about somebody else, or if somebody says they were a part of Mr. Beast's team, or says that something happened at the checkout line and Logan Paul went, huh, over and over again, a lot of the time the primary source of what you're discussing is going to be a 0-follower Twitter account that tweets out something claiming to be true. Could you wait a week or a month to find out if there's any credibility behind the source? You could, but at the end of the day, the people who are clicking on a video to watch you talk about the drama behind somebody who tweeted out something kind of sus, they're not exactly going to care if it turns out to be wrong after the fact. And trying to step into the shoes of the sorts of people who make these sorts of videos, if you're a week late to a topic that's essentially just somebody tweeted something out that's a little bit drama baity, that video's useless to you now. This happens in the real world as well. Anybody who's doing a 24-hour news cycle talking about something that is currently developing is gonna get assumptions and things wrong. Police get stuff wrong the second they show up to a scene, only to be revealed that they got something wrong months later. Do you just not talk about the thing that happened whatsoever until you have every single thing correct? You guys have seen the meme of the math theorem just proving 1 + 1 = 2, right? To be exhaustive is like a never-ending cycle of, well, technically you could get a little bit more accurate with this. But again, my point is not that misinformation should be accepted. And again, I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt that these guys specifically mean instances in where they could very easily have proven the thing that they got wrong to be right with a little bit more research if the information is out there. But we're on the internet. If you're gonna make an argument that says everybody should be right on the internet, you're silly. I see the word journalism thrown around and journalist while referring to these YouTubers that are basically just reporting information based on stuff that people have posted on Twitter and on other parts of YouTube. These guys are drama channels. At best, you should be viewing them like a gossip magazine or the tabloids more than anything. And I'll say it for the 4th time, that doesn't make misinformation okay, but like, you know, set your expectations at a certain point when watching stuff like this. Should Pyrocynical have gotten Adonis's name right when talking about the Drake and Kendrick Lamar situation? Yeah, I guess he should have. But you are watching a YouTuber known for playing video games make a video about hip-hop beef. Like, you know, little bit your fault. Teeny tiny bit your fault. Be honest. Guys, the homeless dude with the hand-painted sign and the tinfoil hat is telling me that Obama caused 9/11. He's wrong. We know. We are well aware that that guy probably isn't the reliable source of information he claims to be. Just put the video essay in the bag, bro. Final point. Drama commentary and slop is easy clicks and views. They offer little to no substance or insight. They are ultimately made to be watched and thrown away. Like most of the points that I'm talking about today, I don't completely disagree. Almost every single one of those things is true to a varying degree, but I do think there's a little bit of subtext here that pisses me off. I can't say tremendously, apparently, a lot. I understand the point that you can take a look at a video that has like 5 cuts total. Seems like it was all recorded in one take, where the images on screen are literally just 10 pictures that they switch between over the course of 40 minutes. Point to that and go, that's low effort, low research, low editing, and it provides little value. I get that sentiment. It's definitely minimal editing. It definitely isn't the highest production value. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's lower value. The value is determined by the people that are watching the video. If you watch the thing expecting to get some information to get you up to date on something you don't want to take the time to figure out yourself, then that video has done its job. To point to a video that has 20 layers on its timeline, where the editor took 40 minutes just to craft together 6 seconds of Morty from Rick and Morty using an AI voice to say the thing that you're saying, with a compilation of everybody's voices talking on top of each other to hammer in the point, with flashing lights and spinning text, all while you show a clip from The Simpsons with the color saturation shifted all the way to green. That's great, and I hope you find a tremendous amount of like self-fulfillment in taking the time to make something that visually impressive. But understand that the value that the viewer gets from watching your video is entirely determined by them. And there are going to be a lot of people that is going to be completely wasted on that aren't going to appreciate that, either because they don't like it or because they're not even watching your video because they're listening to it while vacuuming their house or on their lunch break. It's easy to reduce it down to, if somebody makes a well-polished, highly edited video covering a topic and somebody else makes a video just talking about it in front of a bunch of neon vending machines, which one you would rather pick to watch. I get that, but you can't just ignore all the strengths of quantity while saying I want as much quality as possible. There are smaller pieces of news on the internet, tweets that might be interesting to somebody, indie video games that are not going to get long video essays explaining the lore of, that might not get content covered about them whatsoever if the people making videos in that genre are only uploading once a week because they feel the need to make this masterpiece every time. You can point to the Mr. Beast situation and the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar beef as these big pieces of news that might require a lot more research and a lot more polish to make something that is all-encompassing of all the facts and everything you need to know. But think about the videos that Moist Critical makes. If you don't take a look at the big pieces of news that you might think he's doing too surface level of a covering to justify 5 million views on, there's 1,000 other stupid little things that happens on Twitter or Tumblr or in the video game world that maybe nobody else will take the time to make a video on, that you straight up would not have heard about or be informed about or have something to watch during your lunch break if it wasn't for slop content. And it's not like striving for quality in the videos that you make is without its pitfalls either. Jim Can't Swim Criminal Psychology is arguably one of the highest quality views per video on the web. That guy doesn't even make videos anymore, and when he did, he was lucky to be uploading once a month. Michael Reeves is lucky to be uploading once a year. You could make the argument that those videos wouldn't be as good as they were if they were uploading every month or what have you. That's fair. But what happens when you take 6 months to put together a perfectly crafted video that then doesn't get any views because your audience isn't there anymore? Or God forbid the video gets demonetized for one of 1,000 different reasons, which happens all the time, and now you have 6 months of expenditures and your time spent on something that's going to make no money and no views? I'm sure at that point a lot of these creators look over at slop content creators uploading once a day to hundreds of thousands of views and start to see why that might be a little attractive. If I may be so bold, what is probably the hottest take that I think I only kind of believe in, quality when it comes to the interpretation on YouTube, with it being more time spent on the editing, visuals, text, and what have you, is a bit overrated. At the end of the day, a well-crafted video, whatever you think is the best edited video that there is on YouTube, whether it be a content cop or an Emp Lemon video or whatever, anybody can make that with enough time. Even if you have absolutely no editing chops, if I gave you 1.5 years to learn how to edit, to learn how to use plugins, to learn how to craft together an Adobe Premiere timeline, eventually you will end up making a video that has a lot of edits and a lot of graphics in it. That is something you can learn. That is something you can hammer down with your first video ever, given enough time. But to decide on what to make a video on, to pick the topic, to discover a story or a meme or something that you find is actually worth watching, and for an audience online to resonate with that, is the actual difficult part of being a YouTuber. The most perfectly polished video on a topic that nobody gives a shit about is still a video on a topic that nobody gives a shit about. And the laziest, most poorly edited video that is talking about something that you find interesting is still probably going to be a video that you find interesting. I am not saying that you shouldn't value good editing or videos that clearly took a lot of time to make. Obviously, if you take a look at any of the animation channels on YouTube, the stories themselves may be simplistic, but they choose to use a medium that takes dozens and dozens of hours just to put together the graphics for a few seconds of work. That doesn't necessarily mean that you should just throw it out the window because they spent that time on it. What I instead want to focus on is that I feel like people undervalue things that are a little bit more difficult to appreciate about content creators on YouTube. Things like on-camera presence. Your ability to be able to deliver something to the camera without reading off of a script is a very difficult skill that a lot of people will just skip out on in lieu of throwing up more images on the screen and never showing their face at all. One might look like it's lazier than the other, being on camera versus using a bunch of edits, but one requires practice, whereas the other just requires time. You can point to Moist Critical and say that his videos have like 4 cuts maximum and that there's no images on screen, no background, he's just talking in one take. But you try doing that. That shit's not easy. And the fact that he's able to pick topics to make his videos about that do find themselves interesting to the millions of people that watch them is a very difficult skill to try to garner. Arguably harder than learning how to edit, because at least you can do that in the background without being judged. But the only way to get to the point where you have the taste to be able to pick a topic that people want to hear about versus a topic that nobody's going to care about is by throwing spaghetti at the wall over and over and over again until you get to the point where you now understand through repetition what is good and what is bad. To take a look at more Pegasus's thumbnails and titles and to be able to say that it's easy, simple, easy clicks for you to be able to garner. Gun to your head. Think of a title and a thumbnail right now that is guaranteed to get 1 million views. Not as easy, right? Before the X situation is Y, before the influx of thumbnails that are just character plus text, would you have any idea what to make your title and thumbnail to guarantee that it's going to get that many views? How long do you think it would take you before you finally hit the winning combination of something that actually gets people to watch the same content you've already been making for years? And when you do find that magical combination, is it going to be as simple as starting all over again for your next video? Or are you going to keep using the thing that works? Slop content, in whatever form you describe it as, probably isn't going anywhere for the foreseeable future. I'm not happy about it. Stream highlights taken from live streams and then disguised as their own YouTube videos probably aren't going anywhere in the foreseeable future. I'm not happy about that either. Reaction channels, just sticking a webcam in the side of a video that somebody else made, I'm not happy about that either. It's probably not going anywhere. All of these things have nuance to the discussions around them, whether or not they're good or bad, whether or not they do a disservice or a justice to content creators and the platform as a whole is far too big of a conversation for any idiot with a webcam and a microphone to be able to talk about properly. But one thing that can be agreed upon is that YouTube is not a fair platform. It is a cruel mistress when it comes to the viewership that you garner for the work that you put into it. There are plenty of videos that I myself have made that have 10 or 20 times the amount of man hours put into them, only to get a fraction of the views of videos that I've recorded in like 5 or 6 hours, simply due to the fact that more people were looking for that second thing. And so I find it very difficult for me to have any real level of like hatred or criticism for somebody who's figured out something that works on this platform where that might not even be true tomorrow. If you don't enjoy watching slop content on YouTube, don't watch it. If you enjoy watching every little piece of juicy drama because it fills you with butterflies to hear the next negative thing about Mr. Beast, enjoy it to your heart's content. If you want to make a video criticizing everything that you think is wrong about the platform, that's great too, and I hope you get 1 million views from it. Do whatever you want. Make videos that you are proud of and provide some value to you, whether that be easy viewership or artistic self-fulfillment, and hopefully the audience that eventually ends up discovering your videos finds value in it as well. Obviously, I don't encourage or endorse anybody making videos that are doing an overall disservice to the story or the purpose of what they're trying to do, or if the entire purpose of the video is exploiting or harming people. But at the same time, if you find something that works on a platform that is as big and complicated as YouTube, I can't offer any advice other than grab onto it and don't let it go, because it's not going to be there forever. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. I've been SumitoMedia, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.